Cleveland. We got the Memphis Tigers playing in San Francisco, and the Grizzlies got a big dub. You know, I'm addicted to the college football playoff committee and all that good stuff. I got the college football playoff rankings versus the Vegas odds to win. And yesterday, I feel like I broke a lot of Tennessee hearts talking about how right now with the scenarios, they could be left out in the cold. I found a absolute surefire way that they can get in to the college football playoff. And there is still a lot of opportunities. Chaos could ensue. But I got it all broken down. You know, at 11:30, we talk with Isaac Simpson. We're going to talk about the Grizzlies' win last night. We're going to talk about how bad the 76ers are. And then we're going to talk about the Tigers, because Isaac is always talking NBA, talking Grizzlies, and also talking about, like, little Memphis football. Does anybody care about the Bulls anymore? Like, do you care where they go? Is it important? Have you been thinking about it? Just curious. Let me know. 12 o'clock, Evie Van Pelt, Ole Miss. Your number one source for all things Ole Miss sports information. You know that's the Rebel Walk. Go to therebelwalk.com. Evie is going to join me. We're going to talk about them Rebels, what the Gators are doing, all the things that are coming out of Lane Kiffin's mouth. And it's been a whole lot. It's been interesting. He's a very fascinating individual. And we're going to break that down at noon. You know, at 12:30, I got Hardwood because it just feels so good, the crazy sides of sports. Got a little update on the BBC. That is, by the way, the British Broadcast Corporation.
Thank you for that.
Dirty minds.
Thank you for that.
They looking into Logan Paul. MLB, by the way. Today, they, again, do their regular season's award. Weeks after the World Series is over, but that's baseball. We got a million things going on, but congrats to Chris Sale getting his first Cy Young. After
Hard
I
to
thought
believe.
He was washed.
Yeah.
Oh, as well as he's pitched, he's been up there close. But damn, man, when he left Boston and went to Atlanta, I was like, damn.
That was after Tommy John, too, right?
Yeah, dude. And he came out there this year and basically saved the Braves and helped them get into the postseason, which is an impressive feat. As many injuries as they had to deal with. And then on his birthday, Tarek Skubal got the award unanimous. So, speaking of that, MLB has listed the, who's the couple new classes to this year's Hall of Fame. And I will say, I think a couple of them are like surefire. You got 100% Ichiro. Don't you think he's a slam dunk?
Oh, Ichiro is in there.
I mean, I think Ichiro, like, will he join Mariano Rivera as a unanimous MVP? Like, who's not voting Ichiro? Like, those baseball writers are a-holes. I know this. One always holds out and does something so you don't get, like, unanimous.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, Ichiro came into the league, balled, left the league balling.
But and then
numbers ridiculous.
And then he had another feat. You know, he was a little bit of an older player. He was already a superstar over in Japan when he came over. So it wasn't like he was 19, like, you know, the kid and all that good stuff. He was actually a full-grown man coming over here, adjusting to our game, and dominated. So.
Man, dominated. Could hit for power, could hit for average, could steal bases, had a damn cannon out there in right field. Just
he's probably like LeBron too. Can't you believe these guys that are in Japan looked up to him when, you know, he was playing? So, you know, he's probably their LeBron.
Yeah, dude. Ichiro, real deal, Holyfield. Right now, everybody's in love though with the dude who speaks better English than me.
Who was that?
Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, stop it.
I told you that man spoke English. The interpreter was just to avoid answering questions. Like genius. I don't want to talk to these people. I know they're going to be tired of going through this interpreter. Wear them down. Leave me alone. Plus, who's going to make my bets? But again, I mentioned Ichiro again, a couple MLB candidates for, the Hall of Fame. Like I said, it's there's two of them though that stick out. Ichiro's one of them, and CC Sabathia. My man, like 250 plus wins, 3,000 plus strikeouts. Like, you can't argue with that. Is he a first ballot? You have to pause.
Not pause, but I don't think CC's first ballot.
Man, them numbers are good. I mean, they ridiculous. They ridiculous. But I got to get it back to the college football because all
That's
the
it for baseball.
Hey, man, I want people to listen to the show. I
That's
love
it.
baseball. I can talk Juan Soto. Where does he go? Where's Juan going to go? Should the Yankees break the bank?
But you're a man of the people. You're doing it for the people. Understood.
I'm here for the peeps. And again, peeps, let me say, again, it's been wild this year for college football, right? So right now, I talked about all kinds of scenarios yesterday. I'm going to put them all together, break them down in one way. With 2 weeks left in the regular season, Texas and Texas A&M are both 5-1 in SEC play, okay? Georgia's done with their remaining schedule. Both games non-con. They're 6-2. Tennessee's 5-2. Alabama and Ole Miss are 4-2. LSU and Missouri all but dropped out of the race last week. They're 3-3. But we still could finish with a 6-way tie for first place in the SEC at the end of the regular season, or a 5-way tie for second place. Now, in the latter, if Texas wins out, they are in the SEC championship game. So we would have a 5-way tie for second place to get in the SEC championship game. That's the scenario that I am breaking down, which is probably the most likely. But I'll go over both. So here's the situation. If Texas wins and they're playing Kentucky and then goes to College Station and wins, they in the SEC championship game, nothing you can say. So who's going to be second? Well, I've told y'all it's going to be Alabama. It appears that's going to be the most likely case. You don't have to worry about basically tiebreakers 1 and 2. I've already gone over head-to-head, record versus common opponents. Those are out the window. So tiebreaker 3 is definitely also cut out because that has record against the highest play opponents, and there's too many teams to do that. So it goes to number 4, and like I said, that's essentially strength of schedule. Alabama has played Georgia, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, Missouri, and LSU, all of whom are at least 3-3 in Conference 500. The Crimson Tide finished with Oklahoma and Auburn. They should get those dubs. They win those games. That will offset Georgia and Ole Miss by playing Mississippi State, Kentucky, and Texas playing Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and playing blah, blah, blah. Don't even worry about that. My point is, Alabama finishes with those two teams, bing, bang, boom. They will likely have the highest strength of schedule. Getting into the math is basically going to be a little bit of a headache, so I'm just going to lay it out for you. 6-2 Alabama will be in the championship game unless Missouri loses both of their last 2 games. They have Mississippi State down in Starkville.
Favorite 7.5.
And they have Arkansas last game of the year at home. If that did happen, and of course Tennessee won against Vanderbilt, guess what? And by the strength of Tennessee beating Alabama this year, that would push them over Alabama in that scenario, and then they would control their own destiny because they would be in the SEC championship game. But as I talked about it yesterday, again, it's all complicated. It's that's pretty simple to say. So I've been digging deep up in this junt. Digging deep. So this becomes the other question right here. Would the SEC, this is like the Lane Kiffin. This is what I was kind of talking about, how he said, getting into the SEC championship game with this many teams with only 2 losses, ergo the SEC loser would have 3 losses. Would a 10-3 team that just lost the week before, would it not get jumped by a 10-2 SEC team that was sitting idle? More than likely, because mathematically that's the better record, 10-2 than 10-3, isn't it?
Correct.
But Greg Sankey would go banana sandwiches, and you know how much power he wielded. You saw Florida State get left out last year when he went crazy. He was like, no, their quarterback ain't that. So Sankey, again, this is the Armageddon scenario for SEC. Greg Sankey does not want the to making it to the SEC championship game, he wants both of those teams in because he wants everybody to want to play in the SEC championship game.
Yep, which they will
Big
probably
money.
not want to. You're right.
But like Ole Miss and Georgia,
They want to stay out of it.
they just going to be sitting back chilling like villains during the SEC championship game if the scenario is that Texas wins out. Now, the scenario that let's just say Texas loses to Texas A&M. Texas A&M and Texas would both be left out of the SEC championship game. They would more likely be jumped in by Alabama. And then the weird thing is if Missouri wins out, does it go to Georgia? Absolutely, with the strength of schedule. So then you would have, in that scenario, Alabama playing Georgia. Now let's say Texas A&M lost this week. Like, you know, they could lose this week to Auburn and then also beat Texas. That's another scenario where the same thing shakes out. But, again, if you're a Tennessee fan, you've now become a Missouri Tiger hater. You need them to lose to Mississippi State. Again, Mississippi State, it's going to be hard to lose Mississippi State. They're not that good, but you never know in the SEC. And then, of course, the other one is you have to root for Notre Dame to lose. And hopefully SEC gets more teams in. But somebody's going to be disappointed with all these two-loss teams in the Southeastern Conference. And I also looked today to compare the SEC strength of schedule compared to basically the other conferences, and it's not even close. SEC strength of schedule versus the others. SEC has a 208. The Big Ten has a 197. Big 12, 183. Then it goes on and on to ACC, Pac-12. And blah, 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 blah. The SEC has, by the way, 8 teams in the top 25. Big 10 has 5. Big 12, 4. Group of 5 have 4. ACC, 3. And then there's one independent. And that's Notre Dame.
That really stands out with the SEC when it comes to non-con play, too.
And they beat each other. Yeah.
Their strength of schedule for their non-cons are much, much better than the other conferences.
So right now, that's just where we are sitting. And now I brought up again. What do you think? Are you happy that you're Ole Miss in Georgia and most likely, no matter what scenario it is, going to be sitting at home during the SEC championship right there with only 2 losses? And again, there's 2 weeks left. You know, Ole Miss has to handle their business, and Georgia has to handle their business. Most likely, they handle their business. And, you know, Tennessee has to handle their business and beat Vanderbilt for all this craziness. Alabama still has to play the Iron Bowl. Auburn's terrible, but you never know. And by the way, Auburn has a chance to go up there and bite Texas A&M. But it is kind of wild, though. Like, Texas A&M both ended up with 2 losses. Both of them are going to be left out of the college football playoff. Like, Texas A&M has got to win out and then win the SEC championship game to make it to the college football playoff. Texas,
that ain't happening.
They have to make it to the SEC championship game. Only 1 loss on the season. Worst case scenario, they are the SEC champ with only 2 losses. Then we have even more debauchery. But it is all crazy. And the other day we talked about how, you know, talking to a bunch of college kids today, or this Tuesday, has made me think about the college football playoff. And I decided, like, if, you know, the kids basically are using AI and everything's going AI and they're just basically learn how to, like, have AI think for you. And right now, there's nothing tangible that comes out of the college football playoffs decisions. Like, there's nothing literally tangible you can sit there and point to your finger and like, oh, this is what they're doing. Oh, this is why they think that way. Oh, this is it. I mean, Alabama beats Mercer and shoots up, and Georgia beats Tennessee and moves up like an inch. Like, again, there's so many, like, in the strength of schedule, you can't point to anything. And the words that coming out, like Juan Manuel's mouth, are like, I don't know what he's saying. So it is confusing. So yesterday I talked about how AI could do it if they just put an algorithm in there, bing, bang, boom, all the things, it's smarter than we are, blah, 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 blah. Or you could go out there and get a man like Brandon Lang, who destroyed Vegas back in the day. Or my man in the casino, you remembered his name yesterday, who Robert De Niro played?
Rothstein, baby.
Rothstein. Go out there and get a Rothstein.
I'll be his Nikki.
But they got all that stuff out there right now. And if you look at the college football playoffs, you have Oregon 1, Texas 2, Penn State 3, And then it goes Indiana, Notre Dame, Bama, Miami, Ole Miss, Georgia, UT, and Boise State. But I got the Vegas odds, baby. What is
To win it all?
Yeah, the Vegas odds to win it all. So Oregon's number one in the college football playoff rankings. Number one to win it all for Vegas, Ohio State plus 320. Number two is Oregon plus 440. 3, them Bulldogs, they're plus 480. 4 is Texas plus 550. Alabama,
I like a quiet Alabama.
they're
like
5
that
plus 800.
I like that number, sir.
5, man, please.
Quiet Alabama's always scary.
Kalen DeBoer in his first year wins a natty, man, and everybody's going to lose their mind.
Correct. But quiet Alabama is always scary.
I like Quiet Ole Miss at plus 1,000.
Ooh.
Coming in at number 6. Number 7, I don't agree with Penn State plus 1,800. Number 8 is Notre Dame plus 2,000. 9, Indiana plus 2,500. And then you have Tennessee and Miami tied right there at, I don't know even where I was, 10 and 11.
Penn State, what do you not agree with?
I mean, I just don't believe in that Penn State football team. I mean, when they play, their schedule is absolutely pathetic. And when they did face a big boy, they got big boyed. They're going to get big boyed in the college football playoffs. But then you have, again, like I said, Tennessee and Miami both plus 4,000. And they're, 9 and 10 kind of tied up. Then you have, I guess, this is crazy, Colorado and SMU are plus 5,000. And where do you think Boise State is?
20,000.
Plus 15,000.
15. Okay. Tiger fans, you see where you could have been. Yeah.
Oh, man. They'd be even more right now.
Yeah.
I will say, though, it is it's interesting to see where Vegas has it versus the College Football Playoff Committee. And I have to say, Ohio State plays 320 kind of makes me look at that Indiana game, and I like to think about gambling.
Yep, that means smash 'em, rock 'em, sock 'em, name the score, baby.
Man, the Ohio State, the fact that they are minus 13.5 currently over Indiana.
Too low.
I mean, Kurt Signetti has been awesome. Curtis Rourke has been a baller. I loved him when he was at Ohio. I loved when he was a Bobcat. He's been a hell of a Hoosier. And again, this Indiana team is on this is probably the biggest game in the history of their program for football. I can't think of another Indiana game where you're like, dude, they beat Ohio State. They'll be playing in the Big Ten championship game. You know what I mean?
What about Isaiah? No, that was basketball.
This is
You're
basketball.
right.
Football, when the hell you
You're
been
right.
like-
You're right.
No, you ain't been like, oh, man, Indiana football. I mean, this is
I know.
crazy. It's a flash in the pan. It's wild.
They're gonna wet the bed, dude. Like, just name your score for.
Well,
Ohio
this is what
State.
I'm saying. Here's the thing. I think we know the levels of talent. But we also know, like, Ohio State, like, they know who they are. And they are full of talent. Like, the talent for Indiana, well, it ain't that.
No, you're right. Plus Ryan Day. Ryan Day has something to prove. You forget about all that.
Oh, man, dude, yes.
They want to throw
What
Ryan
about
Day out.
Chip Kelly?
Of course. Chip is nice to have there with him.
And the other thing is I think Indiana, like Ohio State knows who they are. They are at home. They know what they're playing for. Indiana also knows who they are. And you know what they know? They ain't Ohio State.
Correct.
They
I'm with you
ain't.
on that.
So let me just tell you, that's how I feel about where we are with college football. I'm fired up about these games. You know I got some bets for you. Again, right now I think we got to lay the wood. If you want to play it, you got to lay it, baby. And if you want to lay it and play it, I think the right side is going to be Ohio State.
And give that 13.5
I'm laying
easily.
that joint.
Easily.
I'm laying it. Now, we got to talk about the Grizzlies. We got to talk about the Tigers. The Tigers got a game tonight. Grizzlies had one last night. We're talking with Isaac Simpson. I did want to remind you, though, like, do you ever need sometimes just to get away? I know it's 11:25. I could get away right now.
Absolutely.
Getaway to Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester Road. When you got to get away. That's Alabama Getaway. You know any of that? It's Grateful Dead, baby.
Gee, shout out to Bill Walton.
Man, yeah, he was the biggest Deadhead fan, wasn't he?
I'm with you, sir.
Man, he loved his Pac-12. But Getaway Sports Bar right now, they're open. They got great bar grub. They got cold beer. Coldest beer in town. Every time I go over, I'm like, damn, that beer's cold. Plus, they got 6 pool tables. Rack 'em, crack 'em. Fired up and come along and take a hit from my bong. Nah, man. I'm talking about pool, man. I don't know how I got over there. But you can also play Golden Tee. Remember old school Golden Tee? A bunch of young bucks out there like, what's Golden Tee, old man? It's where you actually have to, like, it's like a big old machine, man. Old school.
Got to roll that ball, baby.
Roll that ball.
Got to roll that ball, baby.
Like, do you use one hand? Do you use the thumbs? How are you going to do it? Make the putt, drive it? Golden Tee's awesome. And again, they got like 15 TVs all over the place. When it's time to get away, Getaway Sports Bar, 4632 Winchester Road. Back in 2 Shakes with Isaac Simpson on Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Hey, Marty McKnight, I hear it's the signed and drive sales event at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. Hit me with the scoop, dude.
Okay, Randy, how about 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, and 0 do-it signing?
Wow, 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, 0 do-it signing?
That's right, Randy. Plus 2024 Taos S, 0 down at $337 per month.
And I hear you got 5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9% for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
You heard right, Randy. 5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9 for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
Great Scott, McNate, you got it going on at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. You need to get out there and see him. 7420 Winchester Road or shop online, GossettVWG.com. 7,500 miles per year. Diesel features. My rich house. Don't look only 1, 2, 3, 5, report MSRP 2603. 3 days and some license registration fees. Excludes BS 695. See dealer for details. Dealer stock only with approved credit.
If you've ever worried about the safety of your home and family, there's no better time to act. Get 60% off a new Simply Safe security system today. Old school alarm systems only kick in once somebody is already inside your home. Simply Safe stops criminals from entering your home with its exclusive Active Guard outdoor protection. To get 60% off any new system with a select professional monitoring plan, go to simplysafecolin.com, COLIN. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
All the wisdom of the universe is in these bones.
Now back to Sports 56 Happy Hour on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Johnny Radio.
Welcome back to a little Sports 56 Happy Hour. I'm your buddy Johnny Radio. It's a little Thirsty Thursday. You know, we always get thirsty with Isaac Simpson, baby. Talking a little Grizzlies, talking Tigers. What you up to, Isaac? Yo, yo, yo.
Man, what up? What up?
Not much, man. How's life treating you, my friend?
Man, doing well, man. Can't complain, man. Nice weather, wind blowing, feeling good outside. So, man, can't complain.
And Grizzlies got a dub last night.
They did.
Now, they were playing basically the new Washington Wizards. What has happened? What in the hell is happening to the Philadelphia 76ers first? My goodness.
Man, I don't know what's going on with them, man. They had a closed door team meeting, and I thought they'd come out fired up. Like I was a little bit worried for the Grizzlies because usually after those team meetings, teams come out and play really well. I mean, it got a little bit close there at the end, but they still look like a bad basketball team, man. And they were healthy last night, even though Paul George did lead the game, but they started the game. Tyrese Maxey's back. They got Embiid playing full minutes. They had Paul George. I don't know what's going on with that team, man, but they got a long hill to climb, man. Only got 2 wins right now.
You can't blame this one on Joel Embiid, Embiid, because that man went off for 35 and 11.
Yeah, he did his job. Tyrese Maxey called him out in that team meeting, said he had to step it up, being kind of a team leader, that he's late for stuff all the time. And that's one thing about Embiid that really just kind of pisses me off, because he has the talent to be the best player in the league when he wants to. It's just a lot of times he seems to not put forth the effort. Like you'll see a game like last night, and then next game he have 12.3 rebounds. Like he just sometimes doesn't seem to give full effort. He's lazy at times, and I think it's just a waste of talent, man, because he could be absolutely dominant, and he doesn't play that way all the time.
You know, it's also kind of wild. After Tyrese Maxey called him out, Embiid went out there and did his job, but man, Maxey just couldn't.
Maxey didn't do his thing. Yeah.
He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn last night.
Yeah, man, he really struggled last night, so that was kind of ironic for him to call him out, and then he come out and scored 35, and Maxey only had 8 points in the game, 3 of 13 from the field, 0 of 6 from 3. Yeah, he had a rough night last night, definitely.
Now over to the Memphis Grizzlies right now, 9-7 on the season, and I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about this team. I know it's early. They can't win those cup games, man. Like, they're 0-6 now. Like, those, we know for some reason if they are playing in one of those, you just bet against the Grizzlies that day and make a little money, even though it's going to sting.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's kind of a wild stat to look at when it comes to those cup games. Ja Morant is yet to play in one of those games in his career, so that kind of shows you where he's been at, how much times he's missed, and the things that he's been dealing with. But yeah, man, when it comes to those cup games, they just can't seem to get it done, man. It's crazy to think that we're 0-6 now in those cup games. Got another one coming up next week at Dallas. You might get lucky in that one. Looks like Luka's out with a wrist injury. He's going to be week to week. He's supposed to be reevaluated in a week, so maybe they get that game without Luka. But when it comes to the Cup, man, the Grizzlies just haven't had a lot of success. I know last year they had a lot of stuff going on, but that's kind of spilled over to this year. And just kind of like you said at the top, man, they're 9-7. I really don't know what to make of this team. It's hard to say, because I think they have some issues going on with Taylor Jenkins and the way he manages the game. And then they just continue to have injuries. I mean, you have Vince Williams Jr. come back. Man, he twisted his ankle. He's right back out. You got Zach Edey down with an ankle sprain. Man, this team just can't get healthy. And at this point, I don't even say, oh, well, if they can ever get healthy, they're going to do this. It just looks like that's never going to happen.
And Ja's also still out. So, it's just, everything's just kind of been confusing. Marcus Smart constantly dealing with stuff.
Yeah.
No continuity. Now, I'm kind of curious. I'm sure you heard what Draymond Green said on his podcast about Taylor Jenkins, how that Taylor Jenkins affects Ja Morant and Zach Edey, and how Taylor's making them soft and, chase excuses. He said it a lot more bluntly and rude than I just did, but basically sums up what he says. What did you think about his comments?
I mean, with Draymond, man, he's disingenuous, so it's hard for me to really take anything he says seriously, because we know what he does and the dirty stuff that he does. I don't know how he's going to be upset when he's doing stuff and you got Steve Kerr in the past, and that's kind of what Taylor Jenkins was leading into, the violating the code and stuff, and he was kind of going back at that, because I have memories of that happening in the playoffs, and Steve Kerr with the Dylan Brooks stuff. So, but I do with Taylor Jenkins, I do think he is part of the problem with this team. I've long said that I think he's going to be the guy before the guy. I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, you see Mark Jackson and the Steve Kerr. You saw, if you take a historic example, going way back, I mean, it's for my time, but I know about Doug Collins and Phil Jackson in Chicago. We've seen these type of scenarios before, and I think
Phil in L.A.
Yeah. I think Taylor Jenkins is a great coach if you have a young development team. But when it comes to once your team has made it kind of to that level where they're ready to take that next step, he hasn't shown me anything over the last 3 or 4 years that makes me feel like he can elevate a team to that level. Like, he doesn't seem to be able to elevate his players in crunch time. He doesn't have a really great feel for the game, and it doesn't seem to be improving at all. Like, I don't see any growth from him. When you see, like, other teams they take their star players out. You sit John down, you sit Darren down, et cetera, and that other team comes out and make a run. They don't care about minutes or the game script or anything. If they see that team getting momentum and they're losing the lead, they're going to put those guys back in. Taylor Jenkins pretty much just sticks to the script no matter what. Like, you can almost bet, okay,
when
John
you feel
Morant's
it
gonna come back in
slipping
the 6-minute
away,
mark.
like the thing is, it's like sometimes I hear a complaint he doesn't have that feel of the game. Like, Mike Tomlin kind of feels the game. Andy Reid, using NFL example, feels the game. And like, they just seem to like always make the right decision, and like they can just, understand momentum, because momentum is a real thing. And it just feels like when things start slipping away, like the superstars maybe need to step up and say, man, put me back in, damn it.
Yeah, because exactly. I definitely agree with you there. If I'm John Morant, I'm getting up and going ahead to the table. I'm like, man, or Jaren Jackson Jr., those guys, because he sets his players down. He fouls them out a lot. Like, if they have 4 fouls and he takes them out and other teams get a momentum, man, put them back in there. Like, you're gonna lose the game anyway, man, if you don't have those guys on the floor. So you have to trust them to go out there and play with fouls. He just does that a lot. A lot of times he waits too late, and you'll see him make a run at the end of the game when he puts the guys back in. But by then, that other team has momentum. They're feeling good, and it's just too late. You can't get back in the game. And we've seen that time and time again from him over the last few years, and it just doesn't seem to get any better. Like, in the halftime adjustments, you don't see a lot of adjustments. They don't attack mismatches enough like they should, in my opinion. He definitely has some issues. I don't think he's the worst coach in the league, but I don't think he does a lot to elevate them as a team.
Now,
I'll say that.
When you look at the pieces, though, do you feel like this year, like if and this is a big if you have Ja, Marcus Smart, Vince Williams Jr., Gigi, Zach Edey, all of them back and healthy, and you can keep this healthy roster, what do you feel like this roster's potential is?
Man, on paper, man, they are loaded. I mean, you even see, and I think a lot of this is a benefit from last year when you had these guys having to step up and play minutes because they had so many injuries. I mean, even going lower in the roster than that, I mean, guys like Jake LaRavia, who I was extremely hard on, is really improved as a basketball player. I mean, he looks like a real legit NBA player now, which is something that I didn't see. My man Scottie Pippen Jr. Is improved. He got minutes last year. He was in a situation probably if he was somewhere else, he might have not got that opportunity. You saw the Lakers just kind of discarded him. He's come here and he's been able to kind of improve his game to the point to where he's started right now with Ja out. I mean, he has some issues as far as facilitation. He's more of a scoring guard, and some people are kind of complaining about that. I'm a big fan of his. I think that's just more of you have a guy that's probably a backup point guard. He's having to play 25, 30 minutes, and he probably should only be playing 10 or 12, and he's going to make some mistakes out there. But, I mean, they have depth all the way across the roster. If they could ever get these guys back, we talk so much about this team needing help on the wing. I mean, they're overloaded on the wing at this point. So, like I said, you got guys like LaRavia playing well. Once you have Vince Williams and Gigi coming out, those guys are not even going to be in the rotation. Cam Spencer is another guy who's a rookie who I have high hopes for. I mean, they have depth. Yuki down there with the hustle. I mean, they have talent all across this roster. I think this might be the overall most talented roster they've ever had. It's just, can they ever get it together? And then what does that look like? How does Taylor Jenkins handle that? That's what I want to see, man. It just looks like we're never going to be able to get there, though.
Yeah, and when I look at their schedule, though, man, right now, the next, next week, really, Saturday through next Friday, you got the Bulls on the road, then you come back and you got Portland at home, Detroit at home, and the Pelicans at home. Like that, you should at least come 3-1 in that bad boy, right? Yeah, man. When I looked at it, I kind of brought it out a couple of days ago, and I said, looking at the next 6 games, that they shouldn't go any worse than 5-1. Man,
they dropped that second Denver game, and that's tough when you should lose to that Denver team when Jokic is not playing. But, man, they just couldn't get a handle on them in that second game to beat them the night before. But,
Russell Westbrook went off, didn't he?
Man, yeah. Yeah, man. He was in – anytime Russell Westbrook's hitting threes, man, you know it's probably not your night, man. He was knocking out threes, had a triple-double. He just had a throwback game out there. It looked like OKC Russ out there the other night. But, yeah, man, they got to take advantage of these next few games because you look into December, the schedule definitely gets a lot tougher, and we don't know how long Ja's going to be out. He's kind of been hitting on Twitter that it's
he's
not
going
as
to be
bad
back
as people
soon.
think, and
Yeah.
he could be back soon. So we'll see how that works out. Because I know if it was him, he'd probably go out there with one leg. So that's him saying that. Are they going to let him play? That's going to be more of the question. But it gets tougher into December. So these next games, they definitely need to rack up the wins. I think they really need to try to pocket all of them. They'll be favored in all those games, and they need to go out and try to win them. But we just haven't seen that consistency so far from this team. They're a team right now that I feel like they could beat anybody. They could also lose to anybody. That's just kind of what they are right now. It just feels like they're kind of a 500 team. I mean, they're sitting at 9-7, and I really feel like they should have 2, 3, 4 more wins. Probably you just got to look at on some of those games where they blew big leads. And again, I think a lot of that goes back to Taylor Jenkins and some of the coaching decisions he's made.
When you look at the West, who's the best?
Man, that's tough. I mean, if you think OKC, if they're
But now
healthy,
you got to worry about the whole, Chet situation.
yeah, that's the thing with them. I can't believe this thing with Golden State. I mean, I know they're sitting at the top of the West right now at 11-3. There's no way they could be that good. Like, I don't know how. I mean, you lose Klay Thompson and bring back basically the same team. Don't really add anybody of note. I know Anthony Melton, man, went down with the ACL. That news came out, I think, this morning, either last night. That's a tough break for them. But I believe they're going to cool off at some point. I
You don't
they're
think
gonna
Buddy
be,
Hield continue to man, what was it? I saw him with I think like 7 threes in a damn quarter.
Yeah, I think he's shooting like something crazy, like 58% from three or something so forth. Seems like an NBA record-wise. Like that team's going to cool off. I mean, you got older guys on that team. I just can't believe that they're going to have this type of turnaround. Like, I think they're going to be good. They're going to be a playoff team. But I can't believe this team, from what we saw last year, the last couple of years, that they just going to turn around, lose Klay Thompson, and be competing at the top of the West. Maybe they just found something. I don't know, man, but I have a hard time believing that. Lakers look pretty solid, but I don't believe in them as far as being a top team in the West either. I mean, I kind of think the West is kind of wide open. I mean, if the Grizzlies could ever get it together, man, I think they could be right there with those teams. Those teams, none of those teams really scare me if the Grizzlies are healthy and you got Ja out there, you got Desmond Bain and Darren Jackson. If those guys can ever get on the floor together, I think this team is right there with anybody in this conference. It's just the question marks is health and can Taylor Jenkins get them over the hump. I think those are the two things that I look at. But talent-wise, those teams don't scare me.
Man, crazy thing, man. When you talk about the Lakers, though, the Fakers, I got to ask you right now, like, I know they had 2 draft picks. One of them looks really good. The other looks really damn bad. G League James ain't looking so hot. But Dalton Connect, are you kidding me? This dude has gone the bleep off.
Man, it really does surprise me. Like, I was a big fan of his coming out.
We talked about him. I was going to say, we both talked about we were shocked after the draft, like, how he fell that far.
Yeah, I can't believe he fell to 17. I don't know what these DMs were thinking. I'm not a Tennessee fan, man, but I know talent when I see it, man. And he was fantastic. And I figured that his scoring would translate. Because one thing about him is he also brings good size. And he's not just a shooter. Like a lot of these guys, he got fit into that mode, I think, and that might have been why he slipped a little bit as being a shooter. He's a scorer. Mm-hmm. He's not just a shooter, man. He can do it from all 3 levels, man. He's out there dunking on folks and doing all kind of stuff, man. And he brings size. He's not skinny either. He's about 230, 235. He has a little size on him for the wing. I mean, I like him a lot. I think they got an absolute steal with him because if the Grizzlies weren't going to go center, he was kind of the guy that I was looking at there at 9. And I mean, he's looking good. And he's putting his hat in the ring for rookie of the year, along with Jared McCain in Philadelphia. And those are 2 guys that I don't think people had at the top of that list coming in. And I think they're probably the 2 leaders in the clubhouse right now.
We're talking with Isaac Simpson. We're going to talk a little bit more on the other side. We got to get to those, Tigers. They got a big kind of week ahead. They got one in San Francisco and then on to Maui. So don't you dare touch that dial. We're back in two shakes talking Tigers on Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Summer may be over, but yard work, it goes on. Don't worry, Colonial Hardware makes it easy for you. Colonial Hardware has all the lawn and garden tools you need from the best brands in the business. Ferris, Snapper, Husqvarna, Toro, Echo, Shindaiwa, and Billigo. Servicing most brands of lawn equipment, Colonial's master service techs will keep you going year-round. Colonial Hardware, family-owned and operated, and serving you for nearly 50 years. Next to Bass Pro Lake at Sycamore View, and online at colonialhardwareinc.com.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wolo said hello.
All 650 acquisition fee, K4LXS, SEO 29100, MSRP 24230, Telluride RG 529 196, MSRP 41730, K5 S53 23133, MSRP 28330. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. Dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Valid through 12/2/24.
Hey, Jeff Allen, it's time to get ready for a season of new traditions at Gossett Kia South Mount Moriah.
Randy, my new tradition is saving my customers big bucks. I've got a 2025 Kia K4 LXS at $199 a month. That's less than $7 a day for a new ride. A 2024 K5 now $269 a month. Both $34.99 due at signing and a 24-month lease. And a 2025 Telluride, that spacious 8-seater SUV with high towing capacity and all-terrain tires, $348 per month. $39.99 due at signing.
Plus all new EV9, 0% for 72 months. And every Kia comes with America's best 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Now back to Sports 56 Happy Hour on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Johnny Radio.
Welcome back to a little Sports 56 Happy Hour. I'm your buddy Johnny Radio. It's a Thursday up in this bad boy, man. We got Memphis Tigers. Memphis, man. Most beautiful land in the whole world.
Look at you with the beautiful land.
Oh, yeah, baby. On the road out in San Fran, chilling like some villains, man. Playing a tough team tonight. They're playing in that big bad boy arena, Chase Center, right?
Yep, but you know what I'm most proud of? They're playing on TV. I don't have to find them on Plus.
Oh, man. Or the little cheat codes.
Yeah, the
I'm
little
not allowed
cheat
to talk
codes.
about.
Yeah, they're on ESPNU tonight, folks. So sit back and enjoy it on your couch and not on your iPad.
What is it? Dofu? Never mind. No, you didn't hear that. Isaac, what it do, my friend?
Man, what up?
Dude, I'm so fired up about a little basketball, actually, for the Tigers. I haven't been this is excited because now we get to find out who they really are. They got a big one tonight, and then they head out to Maui for a little serious action, by the way, open up against UConn. I'm pretty stoked. Tell me, what are we going to think about this team after tonight?
Kind of a unique game, man. You would think Memphis would be matched up with San Francisco, especially on the road. Going out playing them out there out on the West Coast at Chase Center, like you said, out in the big arena, not playing where San Francisco usually
isn't that
plays.
ranked as one of the best arenas in the world to play?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, it's definitely, man.
Can they fill that joint out?
I don't know. That's gonna be interesting to see what kind of crowd there is out there. Penny wanted to kind of get a game in on the West Coast prior to going out to Maui. And that San Francisco team is solid. They're actually a 1.5-point favorite. It started off Memphis minus 1.5 and kind of flipped. Like last time I looked at it, now SF minus 1.5. But I think it's a really good game, a really good challenge. Memphis already has 3 solid wins in their pocket and has the opportunity to get another one right here, man. You get this one right here, man. I think you're feeling really good at 4-0 going into Maui. It's a tough UConn team on Monday. I mean, you're talking about the second-ranked team in the nation, defending national champion. That's going to be a tough one, but I mean, I think it's a good opportunity to kind of see where you're at. But I think you feel a lot better if you can get this win tonight against San Francisco. But you got to like what you've seen. I mean, they went out 2 road games, Las Vegas, struggled in the first half, and that's kind of been the theme of this year. You hopefully they can get that turned around, because if they can put 2 halves together, because they've been elite in second half, even offensively. I think some of the best offense we've seen from Penny's team in his tenure in the second half of games this year. If they could ever figure out how to put 2 halves together, this team is going to be really scary.
Now, headed to Maui, what do you like? I mean, your dream scenario, of course, is them to go win that bad boy. It just feels very unrealistic. Yeah. But I mean, that is a deep bracket. Like, I mean, this is going to be some serious teams. They got a chance to come back and actually make a little noise. What are you expecting? Are you going to be thinking about what are your concerns? Like, are you worried about depth? Are you worried about the front court, back court, shooting? Right now, what gives you a little pause for calls?
Like you said, that field is loaded. I mean, you got Memphis opening up against UConn, number 2, and you got in the other bracket, you got Auburn and Iowa State. I think they're number 3 and 4 right now, matching up, or he's number 4 and 5, matching up right now against each other. So even if Memphis were to lose to UConn, just kind of projecting that bracket out, I think Memphis would probably, if they lose, would probably play Colorado in the second game. You could still get a ranked Iowa State team if you were to beat Colorado in that third game. So they have an opportunity to get some high-level games in this tournament. But I think definitely, especially going up against UConn, because they play a lot of guys. I mean, they play 6-7 guys off the bench, and Memphis doesn't have the depth. And I think you have to worry about foul trouble with the big men as far as going up against UConn. I mean, Alex Caravan returned. He was definitely an NBA draft pick last year, decided to come back. Him and McNeely at those forward positions, both of those guys can really score. They can rebound. They can really shoot threes. So that's a concern of yours. And then they bring Taurus Reed off the bench, who's another 6'10" center. He's averaging double figures as well. So when you look at Memphis and matching up against UConn, I definitely worry about the depth on this team, because, I mean, it's a problem anyway. And going up against UConn, a team that's really deep, that could really be an issue, especially if Jourdain, Danger, or any of those guys, or CC get into foul trouble. You could be in a situation where you're just outmatched in a game like that. But again, man, it's a tough tall order anyway. But I just think it's a good measuring stick game, man. Just go in there and with house money, man, try to compete, and that's why I want them to get this win so bad tonight. Because if you're going in 4-0, man, you feel really good about where you are. I mean, there's no issue. If you lose to UConn, man, if you don't get blown out, if you can even compete in that game, I think you feel good. I think the goal coming out of Maui for me would be to try to come out of there with 2 wins. I think you feel really good if you're 2-1. 1-2, just kind of mad. It's not the end of the world, but I think 2-1 is realistically what I would be shooting for. Because, I mean, to ask them to go in there and beat UConn, I think that's a tall task. But like you said, I think the biggest thing I'm worried about going to that game is definitely the depth. Because, again, UConn is one of the deepest teams in the country. In Memphis, their starting lineup, I mean, with Haggerty doing what he's doing, I mean, and Kobe Rogers, guys getting Tyrese Hunter. I mean, they have some experience. They have guys I think they can match up and start lineup. The guards don't worry me so much. It's the wings and the bigs I think that bothers me the most. And I think that depth could definitely come in play. They kind of escaped some of that with foul trouble. They had that in UNLV, and they were kind of able to get out there with that win without it mattering. But when you're going against a team like UConn, I think that's probably going to come into play, and that's going to be my biggest pause of concern going into that game.
When you look at that Maui Invitational, I mean, it's stacked. Again, you got UConn, Auburn, Iowa State, North Carolina, all 4 teams ranked in the top 10 in the country.
Yeah.
Which team do you like out of those 4 to actually come out and win this bad boy?
I mean, I think you got to go with the defending national champions. I think they're the deepest team in the field. I think UConn is a team that I think UConn and Auburn are kind of the two teams that I look at. I think that could look at the bracket. I think if they could make it to the championship game, both of those teams, that would be my pick. I think to kind of make it out of the championship game. But I think UConn's going to win it. I mean, UConn is just a tremendous basketball program. They're extremely well coached under Hurley. I think we all know that. They're going to be a tough out for anybody in this tournament. So I think that's the team that I'll look at. But, man, I mean, Memphis, like I said, man, go in there and take your shot. I mean, stranger things have happened. What if they go in there and beat them, man? That would be insane for them to knock off the number 2 team in the nation. I think at that point you're definitely talking about a Memphis team that's going to jump into the top 25, probably somewhere in the teens if they knock off the number 2 team. And that would be a great start to the season. I mean, we kind of saw that last year, got up to number 10, I think, and just fill out the map. So hopefully if they can jump in there this year, they can kind of have some sustainability. But they, again, man, 3 nice wins in their back pocket, an opportunity to get another one tonight. Late night Memphis, 9 p.m. our time. So a little late basketball tonight. But you come out there with a win tonight, man, you go 4-0. I'm feeling good going in the Maui.
And then on the 25th, Memphis is in the first game against UConn, so that's going to be like, what, 1:30, 2:30 in the afternoon?
Yeah, 1:30. I think that's ESPN2. If they lose that game, I think they would play at 2:30 on Tuesday, I want to say, and just kind of projecting out what would probably be Colorado. If they lose, the Colorado is a solid team, but I think they're picked near the bottom of the Big 12, so they're not great. They're definitely not the team they were last year. They lost a whole lot of talent off that team, losing Williams and KJ Simpson, the point guard. So they're kind of a rebuilding team as well. So they're not expected to do a lot this year. Probably not a tournament team. So if Memphis does match up with them, that's a game that they should be favored to win. I think that would probably end up being a bad loss if they were to lose that one. So, I mean, they got an opportunity again, man. And again, if things kind of work out, you could end up playing Iowa State in that third game. That's how loaded this field is, that Iowa State's probably
or Auburn.
To lose their first round game. Yeah.
Like, I mean, Auburn.
So,
and
one of those two,
that's right. If Iowa State loses, like Auburn, Iowa State, that third game, that, I can't wait to see that bad boy. That one's going to be at I think 8:00. So that should
be a good one.
That should be off the chain. So we got the Maui Invitational rolling. Isaac, tell everybody where they can find you, what you up to. What are some of the interesting things coming down the pipe for you?
Yeah, man, definitely, man. We Are Memphis podcast is coming through. Yeah, taking a little break, man. Taking a little breather, just kind of taking it all in. But it's definitely coming within the next month or so. Like I said, man, it's going to be sports related, man, entertainment, just special guests, man. It's going to be cool, man. Just check it out, man. You can go over there on the X app at We Are Memphis Pod, POD. Check that out. And you can find me on my regular X feed at Isaac_NBA, and over on Blue Sky, you can find me at Isaac NBA. No underscores, just Isaac NBA.
Isaac, have a great one. Thanks for your time. Be blessed. We'll do it again next Thursday.
Will do, man. Talk to you next week.
That's my buddy, Isaac Simpson. It is a thirsty Thursday. We got football, baby. Only problem is we don't get the NFL game tonight on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, do we?
I don't believe so.
Is it because Ole Miss is playing Oral Roberts?
Maybe Ole Miss related.
I actually know the answer to the question. I just like to be a child. Oral.
Touche. Oral. Or Hershiser. Or I see. Look at you. You went Roberts. I went Hershiser.
Well, that's who Ole Miss is playing tonight, 7:00. Plus, don't forget we got the Ole Miss football team playing the Gators. We are the home of the Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss, Florida. Pregame starts at 9 a.m. You'll have Brett Stats Norsworthy. But on the other side, we're sticking with a little Ole Miss action, aren't we?
Little hotty-toddy rebel walking.
Ole Miss Evie. Follow her at Ole Miss Evie on Twitter. Make sure you follow the Rebel Walk at the Rebel Walk. And always go to rebelwalk.com. It's your #1 source for all things Ole Miss sports information. She is next. We'll be back in 2 shakes. Don't you dare touch the dial. Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Okay, but you know you can get a better deal at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds? Are you crazy?
They're not like the boss here. All I'm saying is I got a pair of diamond set earrings there for my wife and paid a lot less than what we charge here, even after my employee discount.
Wow.
You never know who you'll see shopping at Genesis Diamonds. With no middleman pricing on the best selection of diamond rings, earrings, pendants, bands, and bracelets, it's a no-brainer.
I admire your dedication to our jewelry store and not going to Genesis. I know the boss really appreciates your loyalty.
It's just the right thing to do, man.
And it's nice your wife won't mind getting a smaller diamond.
On second thought, can you cover me while I take a break? Genesis Diamonds, the smart alternative to old-fashioned jewelry shopping. With more selection, lower prices, higher quality, stronger warranties, and zero pressure. At Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Time to work on your gift list with Black Friday deals at the Home Depot. Right now, get a select tool from top brands like Ryobi and Milwaukee for free when you buy a select battery kit. Choose from reciprocating saws, multi-tool sanders, and more. Whether you're stocking up on power for your personal workshop or grabbing the perfect gift for someone else's. Get Black Friday tool deals delivered from the Home Depot. At one per transaction, exclusions apply for eligible tools in store at home.
Family Leisure needs your help. Family Leisure has inventory they've got to move because you know what season is coming up. So why wait? You can complete your ultimate game room with a new pool table, a new shuffleboard, new arcade games, or just get all of them. Tons and tons of theater seating, overstocked and priced to move. 'Tis the season for fire pits, and all fire pits at Family Leisure are 20 to 30% off. You say you didn't get a spa this year? Well, say no more. Spas are in stock and they're ready for delivery and up to $1,500 off. These are just a few of the deals happening right now for a very limited time. So come on, check out their gigantic showroom. You never know what kind of deal you're going to find at Family Leisure, Whitten Road at I-40, where family and fun come together.
Oh, I got him on the line. Jason, the main man marshal at Gossett Volkswagen on the pipe. What's going on over there?
Hey, Randy, what's going on here is the Sign Then Drive sales event. That means zero down payment, zero security deposit, zero first month lease payment, and zero do-it signing.
Hang on, zero down payment, zero security deposit, zero first month lease payment, and zero do-it signing?
That's right, Randy. And the 2024 Town Set, zero down at $337 a month, plus $5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions, and 0.9 for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
Wow, $5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9% for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
And remember, at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike, no reasonable offer will be refused.
That's Gossett Volkswagen, 1875 Covington Pike, or online at GossettVWMemphis.com.
Where we're charging for it and charging less every day.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10.
That was one of those things. When things get too heavy, just call me helium.
Now, back to Sports 56 Happy Hour on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Tito's Vodka. Here once again, Johnny Radio.
The woman movie.
Welcome back to a little Sports 56 Happy Hour. I'm your buddy Johnny Radio. What was that?
That was your man speaking English.
Oh, that was Shohei.
That was your man Shohei.
Man, I told you he spoke English a long time ago. His interpreter was there to put in bets and annoy, people. He's like, yeah, just don't let him, don't tell him to speak English. Where you're gonna do a little gambling.
He held the crowd pretty well too.
Gonna pay you really well. I think he fell on the sword too. I think that man went to jail. Ime, or I don't know again. What was his name? That's just terrible. That's terrible.
That was terrible pronunciation.
I don't even remember. Ime, I can't remember what his name. I don't know. But I do know one thing. I wish I would have read David Walker's article up at the Rebel Walk. I've been smashing numbers, and my brain's almost falling apart about who's going to play in the SEC championship most likely through scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3. But they always do the work for you with the Rebel Walk. That has saved me probably a headache in 3 hours. Evie, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Happy to be back here with you wonderful gentlemen.
Thank you so much. By the way, I'm not kidding with you, Evie. I have been racking my brain, going through all the tiebreakers, different scenarios, game winners. Had Tennessee fans upset with me this week. Basically everybody's saying about the only way they can make the college football playoff is if, this scenario. Right now, Ole Miss, how do you feel about their actual chances? What kind of chaos has to ensue for them to make the SEC championship game?
Well, first and foremost, obviously, they have to win. They have to win. Hashtag win and in. So beat Florida, not in the championship game, in the playoffs, win and in. But, they need some chaos. I mean, they need Auburn to take care of A&M. That would be great.
And then A&M to kill Texas.
Take Texas. And, speaking of David, he's liking Auburn to beat A&M at night. He thinks, South Carolina beat A&M in a night game. It's Auburn's first SEC home night game, I think, this season.
Whoa.
So, night games in the SEC just roll a little bit different. And, yes, Lane has talked about that. Georgia, Kirby Smart will tell you that. I think that's their losses to Alabama and Ole Miss have come on the road at night. So, you know what?
We know Death Valley, crazy things happen at night.
Crazy things happen at night in Death Valley. So, a lot of chaos. But I tell you what, it's funny. Some people have come out after, Lane has really talked about it this week, Monday in his weekly presser, and then in the SEC coaches teleconference on Wednesday, basically saying, under the current system, do you really want to go to the SEC championship game? And I saw where, I think Urban Meyer came out and wanted to, come off the bench and criticize Lane a little bit, but Lane keeps it real. Lane could get up there and say, yeah, we'll play anybody anytime, spot the ball. But Lane isn't into coach speak, and Lane has come out
he's
and
into
said,
reality.
Yes, he is into reality, and he, unless there was a guarantee that the top two teams who make it to the SEC title game will both make the college football playoffs, I think Lane is really smart to say, you get to that championship game, if you lose that game, you're likely out of the playoff hunt.
And
you got a third loss and you're out.
That's what I was going to say. It's pretty simple. You're sitting there at 10-2. The other team would be sitting there at 10-3. Champion would get in, and then you have to go and pluck. So, it's. But there's one person out there who does wield a big stick and has a lot of power. I know Greg Sankey is basically saying if you make it to the championship game, you should be in. Both teams should be in. He's kind of a champion for that, and he does. Like I said, he wields a lot of power.
He does. But, that committee does some weird things. But you're right. Would they listen to Sankey?
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But I think Lane's saying if you're sitting, he didn't say this specifically, but if you're sitting at number 9 and you win out and you're in, 9 or better spot with some games potentially ahead of you, Indiana, Ohio State playing, you don't know what's going to happen with Notre Dame. I just think if you're guaranteed a spot, I just don't know that you risk it. He said he likened it to Vegas, and he said it's like the people who go to Vegas and push all their chips into the middle of the table, all in. He said that's basically, what you would be doing. So it's fascinating, though. Fascinating.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride watching everything that's been going on and everything that's been talking. I will say, though, the boys out in Vegas, I trust the odds to win the national championship. They have Ole Miss at number 6. So they definitely feel like they're going to get in and do a little bit of winning. But that's one good thing. I did want to ask you and go back. So you're allowed to say on air that the former quarterback for Texas A&M believes that Auburn's going to beat him?
Well, he likes Auburn's chances because it's a night game at the SEC. Maybe I'll qualify it that way. And he saw how South Carolina, who is, that win for Ole Miss at South Carolina is looking better and better and better. But I think he just feels like they got a shot. It's nothing that Lane Kiffin hadn't said. In the SEC, on the road, at night, anything can happen. And did you see this week where Lane talked, I guess it was in yesterday's teleconference, about how he texted a coach in the ACC who's a friend of his. I would love to know who that person is. And told him, because they had that specific coach had basically indicated, how strong their conference is, ACC. And, Kiffin was like, you come over and play at 100 Sanford Drive, which is where Georgia is located, and then we'll talk about that. And Lane just said, his exact words were, it ain't rocket science. The SEC is the best conference in the country. I watched a lot of football over the break. I mean, he didn't need to watch that over the break to know that, but he said, it is what it is. More NFL players are in the SEC than any other conference.
And that's a fact, Jack. And by every metric that I've looked at, the SEC has still the number one strength of schedule versus all the other conferences. Now, I got to get to what are we thinking this week? Florida's looking a lot better than they did. They got DJ Lagway. They've been playing a hell of a lot better football. 11 a.m. in the Swamp. Are you a little bit nervous? They're coming off a bye. How healthy is Ole Miss? Is this one of those games that just kind of gives you a little bit of deadgummit, kind of a icky feeling?
I tell you what, if we were still, let me put it this way, if we were still in last year's mode where we had to outscore somebody to win a game, a shootout, I think obviously we've got the weapons, we've got an incredible offense, but it would make me nervous, especially in a place like the Swamp. I mean, it is insane at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It is as loud, if not louder than, a lot of other places in the SEC, and that's saying something. But because we have the defense we have, I think those guys, there's something special. This defense, I just encourage fans, if they have an opportunity to go see them in these final three games, to do so, because they are special. And so while I worry about things, I hesitate to even, 4th and 25 or, any of those crazy games in the past. I just feel like I think the defense can really set the tone, and I think Lagway's kind of hobbled, a little bit. His offensive line did really well last weekend when they beat LSU. He was not sacked a single time. But and Jackson Dart was sacked 6 times against, LSU. Mm-hmm. But I just think the Ole Miss defense is just bringing it right now. And I'm really, really confident in them. So
I feel comfortable about the defense 100% because, again, you got a lot of chaos coming at Lagway's feet. That's going to, force some turnovers and plus just have him in a flux because he hadn't seen a defensive front like this yet.
He has not, and he is a freshman. He is young. Man, he can pass the ball. But I say, let's shut down the Rebels are shutting down the run. I mean, what are they only giving up 79 yards a game rushing? And I think, the closest, they did face Lenore Sellers when they saw South Carolina. And I think, so they have a little bit of experience there with a quarterback who is as mobile. Lagway, like I say, he is hobbled a little bit, but, it didn't hurt him at all. It didn't seem to against LSU. But I just think he's going to be seeing pressure coming from all sides. And I think Suntarian Perkins is going to be all over him.
Now, speaking about Perkins, that whole linebacking crew, right now, really, what do you think the strongest group is? Because the front four, the linebackers, the defensive back have all been playing out of their mind.
That's a really, really good question.
That linebacking core, if you put all of them together, man, from Pooh and TJ and Suntarian.
Okay. I'm going to give you a stat that David was telling me earlier today. Okay, the defense is first in the nation in yards allowed per rush. They only allowed 2.2 yards per rush. They're first in the nation in sacks per game, 4.7. They are, as we mentioned, second in rushing yards allowed, 79.9. Now, get this. This is something I didn't know that he pointed out. Points allowed in the fourth quarter, Ole Miss is averaging only giving up 2.4 points per game in the fourth quarter. And that is amazing
That's
to
sick.
me. That is. And that, I think, really plays into the depth of the defensive line, the depth of the linebacking core, the likes of which Ole Miss, I don't think, as long as I've been watching them, I can't recall they've ever been as deep and as talented as they are. So in that fourth quarter, you've got guys rested and ready to go. And your question, I don't know. I mean, at the beginning of the season, I would have said, oh, the defensive line, hands down, no question. But you're right. I mean, that linebacking core has just been phenomenal. Pooh Paul, T.J. Daughtery, Kyrie Coleman, and the secondary. I know we've worried about that secondary all
year.
season, but yeah, and I feel like they're coming on. And it's funny because Lane talked this week and said he feels like that they are the healthiest they've been all season, which is funny given that, 2 weeks ago Ole Miss had 26 people on the initial injury availability report. But they are the healthiest they've been all season. And he also said he feels like they are peaking at the right time. And what I just wish folks would understand is for Lane to say something like that, Lane is not pumping sunshine for the fans. If Lane says that team is peaking at the right time, that team is peaking at the right time.
And I have to agree. The defense right now has been absolutely phenomenal. They had a bye last week. They are getting healthy. How healthy is this team? We're going to see Trey back for sure. Kind of give us a little rundown.
Yeah, I think we are going to see him back. I think, the injury report came out yesterday, the first one of the week, the initial one. We've only got 2 people out, one of whom is Henry Parrish, which we knew that. We've only got 2 people questionable, and one of them is Logan Diggs. Now, that is the first time that the LSU running back transfer has been listed as a questionable. He has been out. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see Logan Diggs maybe in for a few carries or coming up pretty soon here. Trey Harris is listed as probable, as is, it's kind of funny. You don't know how much gamesmanship goes into this. Jackson Dart is on there and listed as probable. There is no way in this world that Jackson Dart is missing that game. It's probable. You just need to put him down. He will be in that game. But
the other thing about Jackson, though, is like it probably is some gamesmanship. But I will tell you one thing. I don't think there's an Ole Miss Rebels fan who's scared for Austin Simmons to take over the reins.
Oh, boy, isn't that the truth? And I'm so excited. If anybody wants to, I'm glad you brought that up. If anybody wants to hear from who I consider the heir apparent, as probably do a lot of people, we have a Rebel Walk YouTube channel, and we have an interview, a one-on-one exclusive interview we did with Austin Simmons this week, and he is the most chill guy you will ever listen to. Plus, he has a really deep voice that's just so funny to me for such a young guy.
He's so young, but he's so big.
He's so big. He's 6'4", and just a really, really cool interview where he talks about why he picked Ole Miss. He talks about the culture, and that is what Kiffin keeps getting a lot of comments. At the beginning of the season and last season, all I heard from people outside of Ole Miss, not Ole Miss fans, but but y'all are just bringing in a bunch of mercenaries, a bunch of hired guns, and what about the culture? How are you, those guys are going to bail at the first sign of adversity. And oh my, haven't they been proven wrong? And that was one thing Austin Simmons talked about was the culture. And he said, there's not one person on this team who doesn't love every single other brother on this team. We're all brothers. We're all the culture here is outstanding. And Lane, I think, was asked about that on Wednesday's SEC teleconference because it's not easy. And he talked about that. He said, sometimes you get that. You see that in the NFL. You see that in pro sports where you bring in some big shots and it doesn't work out. And so he said culture was absolutely one of the biggest things they considered when they were looking at guys to bring in through the portal.
Man, there is so many good things going down in Oxford right now. It's kind of crazy. The square's all lit up. went down there on Tuesday to have a little dinner with my daughter. She's turning 21 on Saturday.
Oh my goodness! Well, what a birthday present! Now she's not going to be in the swamp, is she?
Yeah, she'll be in the swamp. She's fired up. Yeah, she's
okay.
She's going to be down there doing her little cheerleading thing. Gets the Gators, fly back, and
on her birthday.
they're going to be partying. They already got a little place. They're going to go party once they get back for her birthday.
That is awesome. Well, you know what? It helps. I mean, it's a day game, so that's awesome. They'll have the evening to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny. Jackson Dart was on a show earlier today, I believe, and he was talking with Andy and Ari. I think that's who it was. And they asked him about where would he, they were talking to him about Kiffin and his relationship with Kiffin, and are they a lot alike, both, kind of being West Coast guys. And Jackson, agreed, and they asked him, well, would you be in Boca or the Bahamas if you, Mexico, if you, if you had the money or whatever? And he said, well, maybe, but that he would prefer Monaco. And so I thought that was kind of interesting that he would prefer Monaco. But he also talked about that jet. He's got that fancy Nicholas
Man,
Air
I
jet.
just still think to myself, man, that has got to be the best NIL perk. Period. You get 10 flights wherever you want in a private jet.
I mean, can you even imagine being a college guy? And
No.
I mean, much less quarterback, I guess. But being a college guy and having access to your private jet. But it was interesting. But he talked about how he does not really do anything. If he uses that jet, he's usually using it for his teammates. That he takes his teammates. Yeah, he said he's only used it for him and his teammates. Like if they need to go get treatment in a place or get some, kind of work, or whether it's in the off season and they're getting one-on-one reps. He said he hadn't really used any of it for himself. He uses it for his teammates, and he said because I would have never even gotten that without them. So that's cool to me.
I like him. You can't. It's hard not to like him. It really isn't. Now the one thing is, I'm hoping he takes his jet to New York for the Heisman.
Oh,
I was looking at the odds right now. Of course, they got Travis Hunter at minus 400. Of course, Ashton Genty at plus 325. Then Cam Ward's third. Dylan Gabriel fourth. Jalen Milroe fifth. Curtis Rourke sixth. And then Jackson Dart, with the amazing season that he's had, is there at 7. So he still has a shot. I'm curious. What are you thinking about? Do you think he even thinks about Heisman right now? And do you think there's a chance that he gets up in there?
It's funny. I would normally say, oh, yeah.
I mean, Curtis Rourke loses there. It's this weekend in Ohio State.
Yeah.
I feel like he falls. Dart moves up to 6.
Falls.
And then you just need Miami not to, to stumble their toe. And then next thing you know, he's in New York.
I agree, and I absolutely think that it could happen. And, what's interesting to me is, I mean, we just don't know what is going to happen with the playoffs. And I know one thing, David has talked about is, Ole Miss. What if Ole Miss, he thinks Colorado will get into it, and he thinks the last team in will be the Big 12 champion, and the odds makers have that being Coach Prime's Buffaloes. And what if if Ole Miss moved up a notch, they would host Colorado.
Oh, that would be awesome. Oh my gosh.
I mean, can you even imagine? Lane and Coach Prime, that's what David commented on. Would that not be, I think every sports media outlet on the planet would be in Oxford, Mississippi, because that would just be almost too good to be true to have those two.
Man, you got me dreaming right now.
Yeah, well, and you know what? It's actually
it's a very
kind
good
of
reality.
realistic.
Yeah, it's kind of realistic.
Yeah, it is. When you think of the people above Ole Miss that could very well lose, and how about that? How about that committee putting Ole Miss going against the AP and coaches and keeping Ole Miss ahead of Georgia?
I thought it was smart. We do have this head-to-head match just
we do.
not too long ago.
Which we do, which makes you think, what were the AP voters and the coaches thinking? You know, you wonder about that sometimes. So anyway, good news for Ole Miss that they are in the position they're in, and I think you're right. I think Ole Miss beats Florida, they beat Mississippi State, they get into those playoffs. I think absolutely Jackson Dart. I mean, I would put money on him being there in New York.
Now, one other thing I wanted to ask you, because you talked about the great matchup. I mean, God, if Colorado's 12 and Ole Miss is 6, and they play down in Oxford the first round of the playoffs, that would be out of control. That means Travis Hunter would be in the crib. You'd have also Jackson Dart. Both could be headed to Miami. Heck, Shador has a chance to get it to New York for the Heisman as well. But my question is, like Travis Hunter, because I've been talking about how amazing he is, and he's great playing both sides of the ball, and you get excited earlier on the season. And as the season kind of plays out, like I've never heard of most snaps being the reason that you would actually win the Heisman. I thought it was always the best player in the country. And Ashton Jeanty, he's first in rushing attempts, first in rushing yards, first in rushing yard attempts. He's first in yards of scrimmage, rushing touchdowns from scrimmage, total touchdowns, and against basically total points. Travis Hunter on the other side. And by the way, also Jeanty had some of the craziest thing. Yards after contact this year, 1,370. That's after contact.
Oh my gosh. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's insanity. So, like, I feel like he should get it, but they're favoring Travis Hunter. And again, I've always said, like, if you have an opportunity to get a 10, you take a 10. Do you want 2 5s or do you want a 10? They both add up to 10, but I'd rather take just a 10. And when I look at Travis Hunter, he is not even close when it comes to receiving touchdowns. He is not in the top 100 in receiving yards and receptions. He's like 14th in receiving yards a game. And then on the other flip side, he's 29th in interceptions, passes defended 23rd. And then Colorado's total team passing defense is ranked 53rd overall. So if you're, I mean, Travis Hunter is an unbelievable athlete, but again, he's not the best quarterback. And he's also not the best wide receiver. So if you're not the best at either, you're kind of a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I'd rather have the 10 than the 2 5s. And, I just have to think, I think Dart has been getting, I mean, again, if Ole Miss makes a run in the playoffs, I mean, if they lose the first round, I don't know. I think that probably hurts his chances. But if Ole Miss makes a run in the playoffs, I mean, you're sitting there with a guy who is number 3 in the country right now in total QBR in those rankings, which have historically predicted, how these guys are picked in the draft and how they do in the NFL. And I don't know. I mean, I'm with you. I think that you take Travis Hunter away from Colorado, and obviously, of course, they are, worse for that. But you take Jackson Dart away. Well, I guess with Austin Simmons, yeah. But and you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
He has done for that team and the experience that he brings, and it's going to be fun if we see Trey Harris back this weekend. Are we going to see the offense still kind of spread around, like it has been since Harris was out? Because I just think you got Trey Harris back. I would just think that offense pretty much would be unstoppable, regardless of even what the running back situation is. But I'm with you. That those stats on Hunter are really interesting. I did not know those.
Again, he's very good, and he's going to be a good NFL player. I don't know what positions he's going to play, but again, he's not the best wide receiver, and he's not the best cornerback. So
yeah, the best wide receiver would be Trey Harris. To still be leading the SEC after in receiving yards after you have missed 3.5 games. I mean, that is insane to me, and to still be, I think, number 5 in the nation.
Yes,
after
he is.
Missing 3.5 games.
Which is crazy. He's got 987 yards, 3 games missed. The leader is that Nick Nash kid at San Jose State at 1,200 and something. So
yeah, and if you're not in the SEC, does it?
Yeah, it's not the same thing. It is definitely not the same thing. Evie, tell me what y'all working on over at the Rebel Walk.
Well, we've got a lot of great stuff. Ole Miss men's basketball plays Oral Roberts tonight, and they're like 20-point favorites. So, that should go the Rebels and Chris Beard's way. We'll have all the coverage of that. We've got a press conference today at 1 o'clock with Coach Yo. She and her team head off to the Bahamas today to play in a tournament. So
Man, they
I
went
wish
to
I was
Paris,
heading there.
and now they're going to the
Yes.
Bahamas. Like, I'm jealous.
Man, I am too. And it's funny because Coach Yo always thanks the administration and athletic department for their support, and you can see why, because they are behind her and her team, and I think they're up to 19 in the rankings, and so that's fun. And we've got a bunch more articles coming out today and tomorrow about the game against Florida, and folks can go check out our YouTube. We've got some shows on there, not just the interview with Austin. So fun time to be an Ole Miss Rebel right now.
Yeah, right now everybody's like with all that Coach Yo's doing with the girls' basketball team, what's going on with the football team, Chris Beard and everybody. I guess instead of saying Clarence Carter, it's Keith Carter right now, isn't it?
That's right. Man, Casey all the way. He's just doing a fantastic job. And again, the fact that the Grove Collective has done such a great job, and they've provided the money, they've raised the money through the support of very loyal Ole Miss fans and companies, and then Kiffin and company have taken that and made some excellent, analyses on players, and then, just got some guys who, like he says, they have bought in. This may be their first and only year here, but they have bought in, and so it's been exciting to see.
Evie Van Pelt, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, make sure you go to therebelwalk.com, your number one source for all things Ole Miss sports information. And don't forget to go check out that exclusive with quarterback Austin Simmons. I haven't checked it out yet. I actually just found it out that you sent it to me.
Yes. You're kind of like David. You don't always check your messages, I don't think.
I'm really, really bad about that. You have no idea. But, Evie, I appreciate you, and you have some fun, and hotty toddy, Ole Miss go beat Florida.
Yes, hotty toddy. Talk to you soon.
That is the sweet Evie Van Pelt. Man, I saw you over there, Darian. You didn't like that Travis Hunter reality?
You led Evie astray.
No, dude, it's reality, bro.
You led the awesome Evie astray.
Trey Harris, better wide receiver, yes or no? Yup.
He was asking you.
Oh, no, anybody.
Oh, anybody. Oh, okay. I thought you were asking Landon. Oh, okay,
no,
okay.
No, I just said Trey Harris.
But you know what was crazy? I told Landon you were going to do that. You were going to slander the name of Travis Hunter. You were
I'm not slandering.
2 5s versus the 10.
Let me just say something again, and I want to also explain one thing to the young man Landon, if he didn't know this. If you do get a 10, then what's going to happen? All the other 10s out there are going to want to know, like, why is that 10 with him? What has he got that I need to learn? So then if you lose that 10, you're going to get another 10. So it continues on with 10s down the rest of your life. If you get 2 5s, all you're going to do is have 2 5s, and you're going to be twice as miserable. Twice as miserable.
Twice as miserable.
Twice.
Or twice as productive, as Landon says.
Please, you go. I don't even want to get you in trouble with your wife, so I'm going to be quiet right now. Mr. Darian Newsom also did want to say, and I already spaced that thought when I started thinking about, I was talking about 2 10s and 2 5s. Oh, and the other thing is reality. I just think Ashton Jeanty has had a freaking ridiculous year. You know what I'm saying? Like, ridiculous. He's going to rush for over 2,000 yards. He's leading the nation in like every single category when it comes to a running back, like all of them. And then the yards after contact, 1370, that's flat out nasty. I am so late for a break. We're going to pay a few bills. We got some hardwood on the other side. Sports 56, 98, 5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey everybody, it's the thankful month and All-Star Chevy here in Olive Branch has red tags on everything. New 24s and 25s. Gotta love these new affordable Equinoxes for $25. Red tags, 0% financing, a ton of cash for you. Red tags on Silverados, the new 24s with 1.9 plus $3,750 in cash. New Colorado trucks, financing down to 1.9 and not one payment until February. Hey, your good credit deserves it. visit. If you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get an extra $500 bonus. All-Star has pre-owns that you want. Jeep and SUVs, Toyota, Nissan, Suburbans, Tahoes, and tons of pre-owned Silverados. If you have any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Drew and everyone at All-Star Chevrolet in Olive Branch wishes you and your family a very happy Thanksgiving. Together, let's drive. AllStarAutoGroup.com.
Choosing the right candidates for any office can be difficult.
My office has lots of drama.
I share my office. But no matter what kind of office you have, if you're hiring, you need ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter's powerful matching technology finds the most qualified candidates for your roles fast. So, for any kind of office,
I'm really going places in my office.
count on ZipRecruiter to find the right candidates for it. Try ZipRecruiter for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You know the great thing about having an event catered by Central Barbecue?
What was that?
They turn any event into a cookout.
You stole that directly from their website.
Well, I didn't expect you to have looked at their website.
I've got events coming up. It's the holiday season, and there's no better way to make things easier than to have Central Barbecue cater it.
They have everything. Box lunches, meat platters, nacho bar kits.
And half and full sheet pans of their traditional barbecue sides. I'm looking at the website right now. You're quoting it verbatim.
Not exactly verbatim.
Word for word. This is a new level of lazy even by your standards.
That doesn't make it any less true. You can't beat Central Barbecue Catering.
It's just plagiarism.
4.9-liter V8, 0 to 60, and I'm about to find out.
Now, back to Sports 56 Happy Hour on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Tito's Vodka. Here once again, Johnny Radio.
Tell when she gets satisfied. Because when she gets satisfied, she start calling my name.
Welcome back to a little Sports 56 Happy Hour. Keith Carter.
Yeah, you brought a little nostalgia,
I like
man.
I know a good old man like you is definitely going to pick up what I'm putting
You
down.
knew I couldn't wait till we got back. I couldn't wait. Landon's probably like, what the hell are y'all talking about?
He's like, I don't get it. Got no
but then, of course,
idea.
I got the video behind this little weird thing stroking. It's like, what?
And then he's like, what are they stroking? Speaking of that, we got a story about the BBC, British Broadcast Corporation. That is.
If you didn't know.
If you didn't know. Yesterday, should have seen. So, I do the little afternoons over there at Hot 107.
Superman Chris McNeil.
And, it's like the sinner and the saint.
Yes.
I ain't the saint. Chris, yesterday, I brought to him, we were, talking about a story, and he brought up the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul thing, just like one more time about how he watched
the buttocks.
And he's like, I don't believe, I brought up how, when you lose your glutes, you lose your game. I brought that up. He laughed about that. We also brought up about, how Jake Paul's a heel. And then he's like, why was his brother being so rude to Mike Tyson and kind of bowing up on him after the fight?
Thank you.
And when he said that, I said, man, you won't believe what's happened ever since then. And he's like, what? I'm like, dude, they're coming after Logan Paul hard.
He say who?
He goes, who?
Who?
And I go, the BBC. The look on that man's face was like, did you just say that? And then I looked at him, I was like, dude, dirty mind, like, what's wrong with you, bro? You don't know about the British Broadcast Corporation?
And I promise you, he said no, right?
No, dude, he had tears in his eye. I made him laugh so hard. First, his heart stopped. He's like, oh, dude, we're getting fined. And then he was like, John, you're terrible. I know one thing that's not terrible. Los Cabos.
Oh, man.
Los Cabos is where the flavors of Mexico melt in your mouth. I like to frequent the bad boy right there at Summer and Graham. They got happy hour every day. Like basically ball and happy hour from 3 to 8. 3 to 8, that's 5 hours of solid steel and sex appeal just drinking at happy hour prices, baby. Plus, they got all the TVs up in there. Their bar is nice over at Summer and Graham. The food is delicious, and they have unbelievable lunch specials every single day from 10 to 3. Check out Los Cabos. They're all over Memphis. If you want to see me, check out the one Summer near Graham. Let's go to Hardenwood.
This is Access Hardenwood.
Oh, my goodness. Speaking of the BBC and Logan Paul, I told you about how they're doing an investigation into his, basically, they say, unethical and fraudulent ways when it comes to the crypto world.
Yep.
So he's putting out crypto advice. He's been getting great, financial windfalls, not because necessarily he's the greatest at picking crypto. He's great, and I mean great, at buying into a company, shooting the stock up 3 to 6%, and then cashing out that bad boy for a huge windfall because he has millions of followers on his social media network. BBC don't like that. They say it's unethical.
Kind of like insider trading.
So he trolled them junts and said, look, I'll sit down and do an interview. We'll fix this. We'll hash it out. And instead of him sending himself, he sent a Logan Paul lookalike, a doppelganger of himself.
So question, did they actually interview him?
They sat down and started the interview, and the dude asked a couple questions, and he's like, wait a second, bro. Like, you ain't Logan Paul, homie. So he's like, oh, that's just terrible. Look how unprofessional he is. So then Logan Paul, of course, videotaped this whole bad boy, this little exchange, put it on his little YouTube networks, and just made a windfall and a fool out of BBC. He just made more money off sending that troll down there because he got so many damn likes and so many hits. Like Logan Paul, Jake Paul, heels. But damn it, they can turn anything into like coin. Like they know how to make that money, man. That money, man.
Man.
Damn. Makes me jealous.
Gotta love the BBC for falling for that one, right?
Dude, that is, man. I mean, I don't know if you gotta love the BBC, but man, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. It's the accents. And it's also, the size of that little country, England, over there, What is wrong with me? Everything.
It's a loose ball foul.
Everything's wrong with me. Now, let's see. What else was the funniness that I had for you? Oh, by the way, Gino, you saw last night. Coach for UConn.
Auriemma.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Auriemma.
Gino Auriemma. He passed.
Tara Vanderveer.
From Stanford.
Yes, sir.
As the all-time winningest coach.
She only had that record for about a year and a half. Because she just retired
herself.
Yep.
She's like, I can't do it anymore. You think that did, no, I'm not even gonna. I think it could have been because of teas in women's game. Do you think it could have been that?
Yeah. Plus, she was a little longer than two. Vanderveer had been at it almost 40 years, man.
So, anyway, did you see the display they put on him for last night? They had everybody and their grandmother. They put that thing on, they were playing, Fairleigh Dickinson in a 41.5-point favorite, and that was, prime time watching?
That's what you get, man.
Wednesday night, man. Tough TV slate. Good thing, I guess, the Grizzlies were on.
Yeah, plus it's early feast week stuff, man. Getting these games out of the way, man.
Now, I did talk a little bit about, again, Tyson and Jake Paul. Did you see how much, we talked about how much Jake Paul made $40 million. Mike Tyson's going to get $25 million. Did you see the market share shot up for Netflix 6%?
Yeah.
A $20 billion windfall for Netflix.
And I thought it went up twice this week, right? It went up 3 and 3. Yeah, that was the 6. Yeah.
That's the 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. I'd rather have 110.
Uh-oh.
Dude, I definitely want a 10 over 2 threes, bro. 3 threes is a thruple, 4 threes is terrible, and you'd have a 12, but I don't know if I could handle that.
12's a good number.
12 was
unless you're in the college playoff championship.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is true. That is true. Now, again, $20 billion. So all the BS that I was the slander that was coming out of my mouth. If you could have heard me talk about the Jake Paul and the Mike Tyson fight, you probably would think I was on mushrooms. You probably would think I was crazy.
Loco and Los Cabos.
Because one, I thought it was it was a terrible fight. And we've also seen the videos Mike didn't throw a lot of punches uppercuts like he should have and would have if he wasn't thrown. It felt more like WWE. But damn, everybody and their grandmother tuned in. So what would happen if Netflix actually had a huge event, like a real one.
You mean like the one coming up in Christmas?
Yeah. Like they would. I mean, wouldn't that blow Tyson and Paul out the water?
Ooh, I don't think they're getting $60 million on the NFL. That's Super Bowl numbers, man. That's
Man,
better than
I
Super
don't
Bowl
care.
numbers,
It's the NFL, man.
Then you got to pay for it. How are we gonna have NFL for free on TV, man? Those are optional deals. But you know what? I guarantee you they don't play at the same time the other games. I guarantee you they're probably playing the same time the 5 o'clock
It's
slate.
gonna be standalone.
Against the basketball. They'll take down the NBA.
We'll find. Oh man, dude, what are you talking about? Like the illegal stream took down the NBA numbers.
AB.
Yeah, dude. Like seriously, like that's not something to like brag about. And by the way, there was like somebody's birthday that I meant to mention today because it was like kind of somebody was,
important.
Oh, King, the kid is 54. Now I know. This is when I know I'm old. Ken Griffey Jr. is 54. Damn.
You pitched against him, right?
No, I wish. Like, oh, shoot. No, I'm glad I didn't. Are you kidding me? That dude would have rocked my
Think so?
sorry ass. Lord. That swing. Dude.
Sweetest swing ever, right?
That was a pimpest swing. Man, that was ridiculous. King Griffey Jr., happy birthday. But one more little rant. Baseball. Figure it out, bro. We're doing the NL and AL MVPs for the regular season tonight when you got the NFL.
Yeah. Best part of their awards has been what? Livy Dunn?
You smoked the biggest rock.
Right.
By the way, Livy Dunn, Paul Skeens.
Best part of the awards, right?
The best part of the award was Livy Dunn. And the fact that they had on MLB Network a highlight reel of some of her best work, I thought was phenomenal. Like, that girl's flexible.
Yes, she is.
Man. No wonder Paul does all those crazy exercises, like to keep himself in shape for pitching, in air quotes. Man, I know why Paul Skeens is in shape.
Maybe the British Broadcast Corporation should interview Livy.
Shoot. I mean, from some of the things I've seen Paul do, I'm sure she can handle it. She's definitely tougher than her size. They say dynamite comes in small packages. They are awesome. But yeah, tonight, NL, AL, MVPs, who cares? We got the NFL. The NFL. And if you're watching the NFL, man, you better be watching it at the Owner's Box. That's the best sports bar and grill. It's in Lakeland Town Square. It's fun. It's exciting. It's friendly. It's comfortable. Wall-to-wall TVs. And guess what? They have every single NFL game. Not just like they don't have Red Zone on all the TVs. No, I'm talking about there's a different TV.
Every game.
Every damn game. If it's on the NFL, they got every game.
Ooh, great. I can watch Travis Hunter next year.
Every game. Plus, they got also 24 taps. And you'll see Travis Hunter ball in the National Football League. So you can go out to the Owner's Box anytime and watch him play. But again, they got 24 taps. They got over 52 cans and seltzers. They got a full bar. They got Tito's. When I go out there, I always get me some Tito's. They also have a full wine list, an upscale menu, patio seating. They have daily specials. They have events. It is your all-in-all, straight-up pimp sports bar. Check them out in Lakeland Town Square off of Highway 70. Back into shakes to close it out. What we betting on tonight? I'll tell you. We got a lot to bet on. You know what, man? How many bets am I going to bring back? I don't know. Hopefully they win. And we make a lot of money on the other side. Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey, Marty McNair, I hear it's the signed and drive sales event at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. Hit me with the scoop, dude.
Okay, Randy, how about 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, and 0 do it signing.
Wow, 0 down payment, 0 security deposit, 0 first month lease payment, 0 due at signing.
That's right, Randy. Plus 2024 Taos S, 0 down at $337 per month.
And I hear you got 5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9% for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
You heard right, Randy. 5,000 off 2024 Peak Editions and 0.9 for 60 months on 2024 Atlas and Cross Sports.
Great Scott, McNate, you got it going on at Gossett Volkswagen Germantown. You need to get out there and see him. 7420 Winchester Road or shop online, GossipDWG.com. 7,500 miles per year. This is my rich house. I'm Buffalo 123 MSRP 2603. 3 days in the license registration fees. Excludes BS 695. See dealer for details. Dealer stock only with approved credit.
Jenkins Floors and More invite you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdingers. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdingers, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdingers offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Week 12 of the NFL season kicks off with AFC North action between the Browns and the division-leading Steelers. TJ Watt and Pittsburgh are on a 5-game winning streak and coming off a huge victory over the Ravens. Mike Golick will join me for the call from Cleveland of the Steelers and the Browns on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Did you know that Wendy's has any size soft drinks for just $1? Yeah, any size, anytime. Like $1 Coke, $1 Sprite, or even $1 strawberry Fanta. Okay, could we maybe switch up the sound effect, please? 'Cause I'm losing it. Wow, no, not that. Any size soft drink for just $1? Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. A la carte only. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
But you got to be willing to take the hit and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you want to be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Now back to Sports 56 Happy Hour on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Tito's Vodka. Here once again, Johnny Radio.
Welcome back to a little Sports 56 Happy Hour. I'm your buddy Johnny Radio, man. Turkey Day coming up and man, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm hungry.
7 days away.
Man, I'm hungry. You know, you can't like everybody knows Thanksgiving is now a fashion show, right? Is
correct? I thought you stay in your PJs and eat food all day.
Oh hell no, because you got to go to one Thanksgiving to another Thanksgiving, then a little Thanksgiving party. At least that's how Chastity makes me. She dresses me up like a damn fool.
Gobble, gobble.
She's always looking good. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just my people. They like to show out their new threads. You know where they go? 5880 Goodman Road down in Olive Branch. Frontier Western Store. Men's section, bang. More jeans than you can shake a stick at. All the way from Ariat, all the way through Wrangler, and everything in between. Frontier Western Store's also got a ladies' boutique, a children's department, and don't forget the largest boot showroom anywhere around. You can see it from outer space. It's so damn big. And those white boots, ladies, I'm telling you one thing, that's the flyest thing I think I've ever seen. I've become the biggest fan of those white boots. At first, I thought it was not practical. How are you going to keep white boots clean? And then you see him down on Oxford on a Saturday, and you're like, damn, that is a clean look. They get them all at Frontier Western Store. If you can't make it to Olive Branch, you can always shop online at frontierwesternstore.com. All right, you ready to bet?
Let's do it.
Why is this line so low?
What you got?
The Steelers, man, only -3.5 against the bungling Browns, 2-8. Like, seriously?
I don't know which side you got. I know where I'm going.
I'm just saying, in the last 10, man, against the spread, like, the Browns have only covered one game in their last 5. That's terrible. Against the spread on the season, in their last 10, they're 3-7. And against the spread, I don't know if you know this, the Steelers are 8-2.
With an outright last week?
And the Steelers held basically Derrick Henry to 65 yards. We can argue that Todd Monken held Derrick Henry to 65 yards because he only gave him the ball 13 times. But that's still 65 yards. Steelers couldn't score a touchdown, still won the damn game. Mike Tomlin's the man, ain't he?
He is.
This game scares the bejeebies out of me.
Not me. I'm going with Cleveland.
You rocking with Cleveland?
Division game.
That total is 36,
that's
bro.
That's a Jameis Winston game, baby. Get us hype.
So you're taking Cleveland?
I'm taking Mr. Winston. Not to win. I just want him to cover. 3.5. I'm taking those points. Division game.
Browns plus the 3.5. I'm going to follow Darian Newsom.
You got your Tigers tonight, too.
I'm going to tell you right now, how do I not take the Tigers plus 1.5 just because I'm a homer? And I need them to go to Maui 4-0. They are not losing tonight. They might be in San Francisco, but they ain't on Haight-Ashbury. They ain't getting their head all screwed up.
I got one more for you. 12.5. You're giving it for Virginia. Tennessee versus Virginia.
Man,
Tennessee favorite by 12.5.
Tennessee. Please. Definitely Tennessee. Also, you know what I'm taking? Some Tito's. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, my drinking days. When I get off work, I'm hitting Tito's. Get out there, make the world a better place. See you on the flip side. Peace.
What a great time of year. Football, basketball, baseball, golf, and home sales. Home sales? This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Ben Swarf Realtors. And why did I throw in home sales at this time of year? Because I have sold homes on the day before Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and New Year's Day. Whether it's someone transferring in through a relocation network or someone just starting their home search,